There it is. Posted.
Good evening, Keepers of the Cash. Gary B, the Casual Comic Guy here, and we were having, with poor Kyle, was having some technical difficulties, but he is backstage now. But first, my co-host with the most, we have Digger Jim.
Hey
How you
guys,
doing tonight, Jim?
I'm doing good. Doing very
And
good.
tonight, the man of honor, Silver Knight Kyle, is in the hot seat with the usual suspects. How you doing tonight, Kyle?
Pretty damn good. How you doing tonight, buddy?
Awesome.
Good. Got your technical difficulties resolved, I see.
It would not let me link through Instagram. Would not. I have never had a problem with Messenger, never had a problem with email. It would not let me in. I tried for 15 minutes, and like it'd show me you, and it'd have my camera on me, it'd have my camera and thing muted.
Wow.
So I don't know. Instagram does not want to go through, but it just, as soon as I clicked it on email, it went right through.
Good.
Wow. That's the first time I've encountered that.
Instagram does do some weird things. I was telling Gary earlier that like I can look at chats on my phone, but they won't show up when I open up Instagram on my laptop. And if I put something in that chat on my phone, then it pops up, especially in the messengers, and I don't know why. It just does.
Hello, Metarog. All right.
We'll say hi to the chat real quick. We have Psychedelic Comics. Good evening, sir. Lady Fantastic. Always great to see you. How you doing tonight, Caroline? Of course, Roger. We all love Roger. How you doing tonight, Roger? And there we go. We have Digger Jim saying hi to everybody out there. Chris at Retro Rocket. How you doing tonight, sir? Now, Kyle, before we get going and we start interviewing and talking to you, what I like to do is, for those catching it in the rewinds, is that don't know who you are, give a quick synopsis of yourself and your channel and what it is you're into, and then we'll get going with the interview.
Well, myself is just a boring old man. My channel I started a year ago because my wife needed me to have something to do to kill my time, because I'm going through cancer rehab, and I got a couple different kinds of aggressive cancers. So, had to be
right.
Had to do something. And I've always been a comic collector and historian, and there's an hour-long story that goes with that. I don't know. At some point, maybe I'll hit on the who's, what's, when's, and where's how I officially started. But opened up a little YouTube channel, threw out a video a month, then 2 videos a month. Now I'm doing 3 lives a week if I can help it, just to keep myself
addictive, right?
What's that?
I said it gets addictive. It's fun.
Oh, it is fun. It's kind of painful. I also have a herniated disc in my neck. Basically, my neck's broken, and I'm fighting 2 kinds of cancer. So, getting to hang out in my library gets to be kind of difficult sometimes.
Sorry to hear it.
I
got Bill picking on you a little. Do you want me to continue blocking links at Kyle's Instagram account?
Bill can pick on me all he wants. I love Bill a bunch. Bill can pick on me all he wants.
Bill's awesome.
But yeah, I've been trying to branch out a little bit more. A lot of people thought I was kind of more or less a shut-in, and it's the exact opposite. I'm a big social butterfly, but I'm not real tech savvy, and I'm getting better and better at it. But this one today wasn't me. It was Instagram. Wanted no part of doing that. But word started getting out on the crazy stuff I have. And then I decided, hey, I'm dealing with cancer and things. I'm going to start trading off my comics, sell them. Because, I've had a comic collection, a sturdy comic collection, for more than 35 years, even though this is my 3rd collection.
Wow.
So now I've decided to sell outright. I used to have a store briefly that went under. Went in the Marines. That kind of put my collecting on hiatus and things, and now I'm settled down all domestic. I have a new old collection. And then the kids talked me into going on Facebook 10 years ago to get back on the grid. And boy, did they regret that. And then I befriended a whole bunch of comic book industry folks and had a blast with that. And then, like I said, my wife pointed me towards YouTube. And then I finally started showing off my stuff, and I'm having a hell of a fun time watching everybody's jaws on the floor when I start pulling these things out.
Nice. Now, what got you into comics initially, Kyle? What drew you to it?
If I don't cry right here, I'll be stunned. So, obviously, comics in the early 70s when I was a little kid, 5, 6 years old, you know, hot stuff and things, things like that, you know, the Harveys, the Dells and stuff like that always caught my attention.
The Charltons and...
Yeah. Now, things close at hand. The first comic book cover I ever remember seeing at a drugstore before I turned 6.
Wow. That's nice. Right, yeah, that's a nice one to have.
I'm about to trade this one off. But this, I used to love werewolves. I grew up on Sammy Terry here in the Midwest. I love werewolves. So I distinctly remember this issue on the newsstands. And I wasn't even 6 years old yet. Right. So I loved comics when I was little. And I really started getting into them in those tween years. And then just before I turned 13, my brother became a senior in high school. And he had one of them old late 70s brown boxes stuffed with 97 comic books in it. And he outgrew them. I used to love to read them, and he outgrew them. And he said, "Here, you read these, you take them."
Nice.
Made a damn junkie out of me in 1979. I was hooked, and I never came back to that. I always want to replace those 97 comic books. I'm getting senile in my old age, but I haven't forgotten them, and like to fill in the blanks to get them back. Here's probably the one I remember most, and my love for Neil Adams and the X-Men and things like that. The coolest comic in that collection was an X-Men 15. It was just in tatters. But it's been my life's mission since I was 13 and now about turned 56, you know, so quite a few years there that I always wanted to have those 97 set aside. But this past Christmas, you know, like I said, I'm making peace with a lot of stuff. And finally starting to come off. I'm not really a hoarder with comics or anything like that, but then again, I am.
Well, you're a collector.
But, yeah, I am. I'm a collector. I'm an antiquarian. I am a caretaker.
There you go.
This past Christmas, my grandnephew, my older brother, who got me hooked on this, my grandnephew had a half a short box of comics, and he loves comics, and he's about to go to Purdue now. He's about to start up at Purdue. Around Christmas time, I was sitting there with my wife, and I'm like, how about I gift him some comic books? And she's like, great, get some out of the house, because you can see behind me.
Yeah, they're never going to argue with you on that. I can tell you that.
I thought, all right, my initial thought was, all right, I'm going to take your half box of comics, and I'm going to make it a whole box, or a whole short box of comics.
Right on.
5 minutes later, I said, a whole short box ain't nothing. I'm gonna give you 2 short boxes. Before we finished eating, I said 2 short boxes aren't enough. Let's make it 4 short boxes. And by dessert, it was, I'm gonna give you 4 long boxes, and I'm not stopping until I hit 1,000 books.
Nice.
Loaded them right
up. I
up.
bequeathed my grandnephew everything from like my copy of Daredevil #3. I had friends sending stuff, but he still hadn't given me an official count on all the books. But I gave him 4 full long boxes of comics as a Christmas / birthday / congratulations going to college, and I'm going to take your collection of 100 books and turn them into 1,000.
Nice. I bet he was excited.
He's still piecing it together. He still doesn't know what to do. And then, like I said, I've got friends in the industry, so he's got personalized books coming to him left, right, and sideways. Well, I'm talking about this. Hold on, I'm going to show one right now because this right here. I'm friends with the likes of Hillary Barta and Liam Sharp.
Nice.
Oh, nice.
Liam signed this for him, so he just keeps getting stacks. They're just going to keep coming till the day I die. He's just going to keep getting stacks of comics. Though my grandson gets 90% of it. My grandson and my wife, that is, because when it comes time to sell, it all filters through my wife, who has no interest in comics but understands this stuff. But why I'm trying not to cry, because my brother Scott, like I said, when he was a senior in high school, he said, "Here's my comics. You read them. You take care of them." I went way overboard with it. Well, he died several years ago, and I always wanted to pay it forward. So I thought, you know, if my grandnephew gets older and he loves the comics, I'm going to make sure he's got a good, solid collection. So instead of paying it forward in 97 comic books, like I said, there's 970 to 1,000 of them. And like a buddy of mine in Montreal sent him the Superman, Spider-Man treasury and mid to high grade.
Wow.
We did the math. I probably gave him $5,000 to $10,000 in comic books and just went, "Here, go with it. Go be happy, buddy." So, you know, hopefully.
Now, has he read any that have become his favorites out of that collection so far?
Like I gave him Spider-Man 54. He loves Spider-Man. He doesn't know what. I mean, he's mildly overwhelmed. It's going to take him years to catch up, and
right.
That's great. That's great to me. Like I said, I'm paying it forward and I'm paying it back. So, you know, my collection started over 40 years ago, and I paid it back to him, which just made me feel that is the best Christmas gift I think I've ever given. So,
yeah.
But I wish my brother could have seen it. And like I said, I'm kind of half welled up in tears. But yeah, that handful of comics when I was 13, like I said, I'm on my third collection of over 10,000 books. I kind of level off at about 10,000. But
now do you use and the reason why I say this, I've just started using it, CLZ or anything to track it, to keep it somewhere where
eventually I'm gonna have to, because like senility setting in, because you know I got a ridiculously high IQ, so I'd memorize basically the overstreets and books like that, and you know, have ridiculous knowledge. And I used to have fun with that. Man, now my brain's slipping a little bit, and my wife's like, you know, if you go, I need something that says this, and this. So I'm getting there, but man, I'm taking slow strides, because I hate money. I hate the thought of money. I would rather trade books all day long.
It's and you know what, and I look at it this way. For me, the reason why I was doing it was just so I wouldn't buy the same book, because I don't have that sense of, do I, you know, I'm looking at it going, I think I have this, but I'm not sure. I'm going to buy it. And then I get home and I've got 2 copies of it already. And so for me, that's why I'm doing it. And the second part is my wife's like, "Listen, I need to know what's in there, and you need to put it down somewhere where I can get to it." Because, you know, I mean, I have my brother, and for sure my brother will take care of it. But, you know, I want it on some database because she's a scientist, and that's what they have to have, as a database. But everybody has their reason, but it's a good thing to have.
Yeah, definitely.
See, you know, I tried CLZ, and it's just dreadfully boring putting books in.
Well, I do it while I watch your show, Gary, a lot of times. So
but once I start taking the books out, I'm not going to be watching the show. I'm going to be looking through the books again.
Well,
that's what I'm afraid of here. I'm a big storyteller. If I get going, I never shut up, and I'm afraid I'll just bore people right off of here. Even though I think my grandnephews might be in the audience, I know my mom's probably in the audience if she could figure out YouTube. But
now, you had mentioned to me previously that you were a comic historian. How did you end up dabbling and becoming proficient in that?
Well, it's like I said, you know, I don't know if you guys are even old enough to remember the character Encyclopedia Brown.
Yeah,
Oh
I'm
yeah.
That
I'm
used to be one of my
52,
nicknames.
Kyle.
Yeah, that used to be one of my nicknames. And I just literally, I was, and I can quote you, God knows what, not because I didn't read Overstreet and look at the prices. I didn't care about the prices. I want to know who did what, where I can fill in the blanks, what's connected to what, keeping
Right.
my brain active with it. And one thing led to another, you know, I mean, I've always wanted, obviously, these. I'm not a big slabber. I've traded for some, but you can see that's
Ooh, it's a nice one.
ridiculously high grade. But I take care of them, but these are still red. I'm a firm believer, and you got to be able to take it out. You got to be able to smell it. You got to be able to read it. If I got anything slab, it's just to pass it on, or I have another copy of it. But
Right.
once I opened that Pandora's box of, you know, well, all right, now the little boxes down at the bottom said refer to this book, refer to that book, and I just kept referring back, and then history started spinning back. Then I love history. Then I love comics. And in the middle, the two shall meet. Before I knew it, I'm pulling up a bound volume of St. Nicholas from 1882 with the first appearance of the Brownies.
Wow.
Now, who are the Brownies, Kyle?
And that boggles my mind that people don't know this now. Mind you, this is 1883 or 1882 when this came out. Everybody knows the story. Bob Beerbaum talks about it. The Obadiah Old Buck of 1842, and the fact there's like 4 or 5 known copies of that, but nobody's ever seen an Obadiah Old Buck story. But the Brownies from 1883. I'm gonna jump back and forth a little bit here as I got these lined up. But here's their 1895 yearbook.
Okay.
Now the Brownies were the Little Rascals before the Little Rascals were the Little Rascals.
Okay.
Oh.
They were so big. Now that bound volume was this. It was the St. Nicholas magazines. Here's one from 1885.
Wow.
With the Brownies Go to School. Now, Obadiah Old Buck and all that Brother Jonathan stuff, that was the first technical sequential art and comic. And then with Punch and Judy magazine, they actually started calling things the comics and referring to it as comics. But mind you, from the 1880s, like I said, into the 1890s, I forgot to get out the sheet music thing. I knew I'd forgotten something. Early 1900s.
Wow.
And again, they're still in high demand. Early 1900s.
Wow.
It's a who's who of Palmer Cox. Oops, I put them slightly out of order. How about an ad supplement from 1895 or 1896?
I think I might have a couple of pennies that are like that, but that's about it.
These things were so ridiculously like copied. If you think about things and how big things became, it all started here.
Yeah.
It all started here. It all started with the Brownies. Like I always say, the Brownies begat the Little Rascals, begat the Peanuts, begat South Park. You know, it's the whole little story. And it's so much, they just use them for constant advertising. Here's a turn of the century trading card. And if you ever wondered why they call them trading cards, they were trades.
Right.
They actually advertise businesses.
Wow.
Now, some of this, like this one, was actually licensed, but they were so popular, they were getting put on everything. There is no Yellow Kid without the Brownies. There is no Buster Brown without the brownies. And this is going to blow your mind. You read Del Four Colors?
Oh yeah,
They have 8 of them.
Extensive, but
this is 70 years after they came out.
Wow.
And there's just runs of them. Walt Kelly doing it. Classic Walt Kelly art. And there's just, this is only half of their run from the 40s and 50s.
Wow.
Now, as a historian and someone who's tracking these down, what's your first avenue about even finding where you might be able to get those?
Oh, there is no First Avenue.
No.
I look everywhere. I'll pull up stuff online. I'll Google. I'll eBay. I'll any route I could take. Get it in person. Checking old bookstores. Running into people and finding out. You know, especially booksellers. You know, because that'll fall between the cracks. There may be 10 of those original brownies left, and God knows how many in the original magazine format. I may have the only bound volume of it. Maybe there may be another one that covers that year, but I've never seen it, never heard of it. So mine's in fantastic condition considering.
Sure.
And again, it's the history of things, you know. Sure, I'd love to have an 1842 Brother Jonathan. Probably not going to have it. But I'm not only going to have the next best thing, I actually found the brownies to be better, more impactful. They were huge for 100 years. 100 years they sold comics.
Wow.
And it just kind of went by the wayside. And it's 60s, 70s or whatever. But like I said, they were prominent in Del Four Color. And even people that have those would be like, oh, yeah, that's cute, like Pogo looking stuff from Walt Kelly. Well, no, it predates Pogo by 50 years.
Right.
Those are the first comic book characters that continued. You know, like I said, Brother Jonathan and Obadiah Oldbuck. Yeah, 4 people have one of those. So you hold the end of the ultimate hooligan. Okay. But yeah.
Now, you also mentioned, and one of my favorite old guys that I thought did a lot in comics. It was funny that you mentioned it because I had just read a Conan story that he did. And inside this Savage Sword of Conan, the story, the main story, Lair of the Ice Worm, is drawn by Carmine Infantino. And you mentioned having known him or worked with him,
No, what I have
along with Sheldon Mayer and some others.
Yeah, that's just a rare piece that I have. I'm gonna melt your brain. I'm gonna jump ahead to the 1970s if you don't mind having your brain.
Not at all.
Everybody who's invested a little bit has a piece of original art. You know, we all have maybe 1 or 2 to 10 art pages or whatever. You know, as life went by, but nice, simple, mid-70s DC Treasury.
Wow.
You know, nothing fancy, but it's one of the early DC Treasuries. So nothing fancy about that. What's fancy is I'll start by showing the envelope it all came in. Year and a half before that was published, in this special delivery envelope that's just been taped to pieces, running back and forth. All the layouts.
What?
All of them. Every layout. The original story, the layout.
Those look like in fantastic shape, too.
Everything. Editorial corrections, notes in the margin. Oh, where's a fun one here? Where's one we can pop up to give you a smile here? How he had to sign for it.
Yep.
It came from The Office, the original cover text idea with this. Hold on. I thought I did this. Oh, there we go. Here's a fun little tidbit here.
That is amazing.
3774. Dear Carmine, here are some other changes, yada, yada, yada. Thanks. Love, Shelley. So,
Wow.
like I said, every single page. Now, obviously, there's nothing with the Kubert cover. There was no rough with that. That just went to it. But that's the entire book and its rough layouts. Mayor didn't actually do the finished art, but he did all the layouts and he did the story and then turned it over to other people to finish. So that, like I said, is a 1.5-year passion project of his. And not only do I have the original art, I don't even know if anybody's even seen these, anything like this. All the Office photo stats.
Oh, wow.
Loaded with Carmine Infantino editorial corrections, notes.
Wow.
Loaded. So you got the original art, the original comic art size. Now this, I'd have to actually back up a little bit to give you perspective. It's considerably bigger.
Yeah.
So I have everything in the process of creating that book. Everything. Just turn a page. Notes from Infantino.
That's nuts.
Like 140 pages. Half of them original, half of them photo stats. All the Office photo stats. Just one of the rare, one-of-a-kind pieces. Because like I said, a lot of collectors will have rough sketches or ideas or things like that.
Right.
Of those. Like I have an original art page from Silver Surfer 59, the last page. And on the back of it, the artist was doing some drawing of the Avengers to prep it for the next issue. So anybody can have a doodle or something like that. All of it. All of it. 1.5 years of almost 2 full years of editorial corrections, changes, mailed back and forth. That's what being a historian got me. I had a printing plate to Sparkler Comics 19 from 1942, the last page of the Tarzan story by Bern Hogarth, and it was an etched printing plate, and I basically traded one for the other.
Nice.
He was happy, I was happy. And then I did some more history research, and yeah, my little hobby it's gone as far as it can go, to be honest. There's only a handful of things I need, like an original Ben Franklin newspaper, which I have 1795 newspaper though over my shoulder. But when it comes to comic books, I've just covered the gamut. I've got Victorian. Here, you like manga? How about 1924 and 1926?
Wow.
What? That's crazy.
Jiri manga.
I wonder how those even made it. I mean,
those were a warehouse find by a business guy that I got acquainted with in Japan.
I just can't get over that. I mean, that predates the war.
Now, did you also love the form of comics in the newspapers, like the comic strips?
Yeah.
Were you also a fan of that, and you did history with that as well, or
well,
one thing leads into the other?
Like some of these, I no telling which boxes got which in it, but I moved stuff around. But I've got newspaper, full newspaper sections, comic Sunday funnies dating back to 1917. I've got some golf funny weeklies and some Standard Oil comics. The Bill Gaines experiment from DC that basically transferred comic Sunday funnies into comic books and making history. You know, everybody thinks old is Buster Brown and the Yellow Kid. 30 years prior. Brownies predate that. 30 years prior. Unused postcard. Alphonse and Gaston. 1902. You know, just. Oh, I went down the rabbit hole and just kept going. I love Charlie Chaplin. Love Charlie Chaplin. Love Charlie Chaplin. Oh, let me move.
You know, Tyler from Whack Comics was on here, and he had an old Platinum Age Charlie Chaplin book that he showed, which was pretty amazing.
Whoop.
Yeah, it's the one.
Man.
But yeah, people have this. And he did 4 S&A books in 1970. This, trace the history to this. This used to be the in-house copy from the British Museum in London. It is a bound volume of All the Funny Wonder, 8 pages from 1925.
Wow.
Now, some people have some of these, and Chaplin debuted in this like in 1915. But here's an entire year, every single one. Additional funnies, adventures.
Good gosh. 1915.
It's 15 is when it started. This is the 1925 entire volume.
Gotcha.
So, but yeah, Chaplin's been big since 15. Now, 1914 and 15, like I said, just able to reach right down. Here's a whole stack of chums from 1914 and 15, which again, these are what? These are basically 4 to 8 page sheets that turned into what comics and comic books became. Where they tried to make funny books and funny books out of things like that. But like I said, this, yeah, every corner I turn, there's a nook and cranny. Here's some original art from Marvel graphic novel.
Wow.
Number 16, and I don't know if you can see that. They had to white out her nipple, and there's a note from the editor right here that says, "We need to talk." That's been erased out. Yeah.
Oh, Lord.
Or like, here's that surfer page I was telling you about. Surfer 59. And then there's some
Cap and Iron Man. Yeah.
Original stuff on the back of that. But yeah, like I said, I loved history. Hey, study everything.
That smell must be beautiful.
Oh, I can't even begin to tell you. I can't even begin to tell you. And you know, an 80-year-old comic book to me smells new.
Yeah.
You know, here's a 140-year-old comic book. Or where are we at now? 1885, 25, 20, 150. This is almost 150 years old. That's what I'm used to. That's why I drive them crazy on when I do Cover Slinger Showdown with Graham Fraser out of London. They'll pull out an old Silver Age comic and I'll scoff and I'll be like, yeah, okay, that's old. Here, let me just go with 1917. Oh, wait, no, let's go back here. Let's go back to 1905. Nope. How about, everybody's heard of Mutt and Jeff? How about 1911, their first collected comic?
Wow.
So then you got first. I mean, sure, I've got some newer Golden Age. How about the first Pinocchio from 1939?
Wow.
Now, is there a certain era that you particularly like more than others per se, or are you just?
The
I
silver
mean,
and bronze marble.
yeah. I
I,
mean,
I,
that's
I mean, that's just my time. I
right.
love this. I love having my brain picked about this stuff all day long.
Well, that's
But
fun to
yeah,
read because it's like opening up a whole different era. I mean, the way they wrote things in those books, I'm guessing is significantly different than they would today.
no,
How they word things, different.
no, it's sometimes it's dirtier. There's like little, the language is a little different, but
Yeah,
honestly, it's the humor is dirtier.
right. That's what I mean. I mean, not
Yeah, I
just
mean,
that,
it
but
just,
like, hey, chum, or something like that versus,
yeah,
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 just the different the way they would speak. It really
Different
is different.
vernacular. Yeah.
Different
yeah,
vernacular.
just
Thank you. Yeah.
regular fellas, and yep. But yeah, I don't even know what happened. It just looks like a little bomb went off around me. I'm just sitting there, doo doo doo. Okay, where was I going? I done lost my train of thought where I was
Well, you were
going.
saying Silver and Bronze Age Marvel is your sweet spot. What
Oh yeah,
what stories in there? What was your favorite story from that era, the Silver and Bronze Age Marvel? Did you have a story arc that you just loved to keep going back and rereading?
that was handy. So why not show that off? My
Nice.
favorite
Sure.
character.
Why not? Why
So,
not?
but why not? Avengers 9.
Wonder Man's your favorite? Nice.
Yeah, Wonder Man's my favorite. Now, right there, that book, Defenders 92. Bought this off the stand, not this particular copy because I've been through a dozen copies. Bought this off the stand for that cover. The story inside blew me away. Kyle Richmond isn't the
Right.
hero of the story. There's a namesake. Brilliant Ed Hannigan laid out cover. Oops, sent that to Ed Hannigan. He signed it for me.
Wow.
So one day I'm going to get the entire, it's been a goal for years to get the entire creative team to sign this, but that right there, I'll never forget buying off the rack. Never. This was mine. This was the one that got me. My brother gave me those. It probably took 6 months to a year before I really sank my teeth in, and it was right here. And
Cool.
so yeah, now I love the Defenders, but yeah, I'm trying to fill in the blanks. I keep changing my
Now,
collection's just ever changing. So
with that particular issue, what is the big thing that happens in it that just hooks you? That you
well,
just
it's part of a 6-part story, but it's all hooked into itself. Honestly, you see the you seen the new Thor, right? Spoiler alert.
yeah.
You know the eternity payoff at the end?
Yep.
That very highly influenced it. Very highly. But the Defenders are loaded with just powerhouses. Hulk, Submariner, Son of Satan. And they spend the issue getting their asses handed to them. I mean, it's the whole time. They're just getting their asses handed to them. And it's the guy who's the weakest who just kind of breaks down and says, look, it's no good fighting you. It's called the piece of eternity is missing because 3 pieces of eternity break off and decide to live as humans.
Ah.
And eternity starts falling apart because they're not coming back and you can't get them back and they're being protected. So, they send in the muscle. The muscle does all this stuff. Strange can only do so much. And they're just helpless and eternity starts to fritter away. And the guy who can't do much, who's named Kyle, talk about talking to an early teenager.
Right.
He's the one that appeals to their humanity side and says, you love these people, you want to stay with these people, but if you stay with these people, everybody's gone. So eternity learns sacrifice when they go back to them.
Oh.
So petty stuff for a 14-year-old, and I was hooked all day long with it, and could not wait to complete that. And and then, like I said, I used to, one of my originals with my brothers was X-Men 15, and I haven't gotten around to getting another copy of it, but I do have a 1970s or 1967 British variation of it.
Wow.
Yeah, I was watching one of your videos with the foreign books. I was really digging that, and you showed that one, and I was like, "Oh yeah, look at that." And
How
then you
about as a
showed
backup
that.
story? That's the first Hawkeye.
Yeah.
Wow.
So,
Yummy.
I mean, the original X-Men actually saw a print over there, so this is basically the reprint in a different format. But
Right.
and then I write for Fanzine magazine out of London because I'm the token American writer guy that yammers on forever about
Now, are
things.
you also a fan of foreign edition books? Because
Yeah,
I think they're beautiful, especially when they get them and they don't have the same notes about how to color stuff. Like you get a Red Sonja from overseas and she's blonde instead of red hair, or just different takes on the costumes, which are colored wrong because they don't get the original notes.
yeah, they're not licensed. They're basically just ripping them off, going, "Yep, here we go. We'll go with that." That's like X magazine, the Dutch magazine EKS. You'll have Spider-Man on the cover and Batman on the masthead, and it's half of it's Spider-Man story, half of it's Batman.
Huh.
They didn't have to do licensing for it and stuff. But yeah, I do videos on here's some foreign stuff, here's some old stuff, here's me scratching the surface of it. Yeah, I have box loads of all this stuff. I have boxes and tubs of the Victorian and platinum age stuff. I have boxes and boxes of foreign books. I couldn't even begin to think of what to show there. Like,
I was just curious if you were a big fan of them.
yeah, I recently got, when Hong Kong became independent there at the end of 88, beginning of 89, their first comic they put out was a Batman comic. And Neil Adams didn't do the cover, but his first interior work from like Tech 359 or whatever is on the interior. And I traded for a copy of that with autograph by Neil Adams.
That's cool.
I've got like the first Hong Kong comic, the first American comic book printed in Russia was a Mickey Mouse. I've got that from 1990. Of course, I was in the Marines when the Cold War ended. Talk about stories for days. First 2 years of my hitch, Cold War. That's what we knew. Russia, Cold War, yada, yada, yada. Then Russia collapsed. The Berlin Wall came down. Then it was a Gulf War. So we went from Cold War to War on Terror, right in the middle of it. But like, there was talk when the Berlin Wall was about to come down, we'd always be on air alert and high alert. But I'm coming in off a 6-hour guard post, and one of my buddies' mom was dying, and he was walking a fire watch post, and this 6'4" Pittsburgh dude, just a big steel mill guy, and he's walking back and forth, and he's just bawling his eyes out, but he's walking his post. And I'm walking up and I'm thinking, oh man, this guy just found out his mom died. He's finishing up this, making his peace, going up, going to take care of that. I go up to console him, and I'm like, how's your mom doing? He's like, she's got better. Things are getting better. And I'm like, okay, has it just gotten to you? I said, why are you crying? And nobody's going to begrudge a guy, big tough Marines, but nobody's going to begrudge a guy, hey, your mom died. Yeah, you're going to be sad. You need a shoulder crying. But his mom didn't die. And I'm like, what the hell, dude? Are you all right? And he just points up. Shut up, Mars. I don't know why my mom just sent a message that says shut up, Mars. But he just pointed over, and there's a group of guys, like they'd have them little black and white TVs about this big, sitting in wall lockers and stuff. And there's just groups of guys gathered around a couple of TVs like that in wall lockers. And I can hear people crying. And I walk over, and before I could even say anything, it's people tearing down the Berlin Wall.
Wow.
Goosebumps. All this time later, still goosebumps. They're just tears. I mean, we're like, 1 minute we're ready to go to war, and the next minute, none of us had ever known a world without the Berlin Wall, and we're watching it get torn down by civilians.
Wow.
Just watching the world change, and just tears were flowing. And, you know, hard-ass Marines and stuff like that, you show any, you know, girl breaks your heart, they'll beat the shit out of you. Just brutally. But, you know, the only forgiveness you get is if your mom's sick. You know, if your dad's sick, suck it up, be tough. But if your mom's sick, it's all right to cry. But that was just watching. That Jesus Jones song said it best. It's right here, right now, watching the world go down in history.
Right.
We were watching it because you know, like 3 days, literally 3 days before, we were put on high alert because of what could possibly happen. And then it was just like, wow, we're actually watching the world change. Something is different on the planet now. And then we'd go back to our normal thing where, you know, there's a clique of guys who, you know, we all played different card games depending on where you're from in the country. And then there were always the comic book cliques too. You know, hey, they like DC, screw them, and we like Marvel, and we like that. And we'd always have those debates, you know.
Right.
Hey, wouldn't that Patrick Stewart guy up at Star Trek be an awesome Professor X? Well, okay, 10, 12 years later, there he was doing it. But, you know, like I said, when I went in there, the comics had to go by the wayside, but we'd have a little bit and move. And, yeah, many.
But I mean, that's cool though what you were talking about, because you know with that guy sitting there pacing, doing his walk, crying, just the gravity of what was happening around him. Right, you're not only are you watching history be made, you're also actively a part of that history.
Right.
Yeah.
At that moment, that snapshot of time, you're a part of that as well.
Yeah.
You're not just a witness; you're part.
I was like on your thing the other day when you guys talked about, you know, some stuff that happened during the Gulf War, and I kind of cracked a joke. I was like, yeah, I was busy getting a suntan in Kuwait and Iraq during the Gulf War, and just had a laugh. You know, that was something, but the Berlin Wall coming down was a lot bigger.
Oh, yeah.
And I wasn't shot at. You know, it wasn't one of them times I was shot at. That was just one of them big ones. And it still comes back to comic books. I can still bring that back to comic books. I can go up on a tangent like that and just, hey, comic books. Or, hey, you know, see that little military stuff right over my shoulder there? There's a bag of sand from Iwo Jima, which if you wanted to, you couldn't go to Iwo Jima. The island shut off. But, hey, I was a Marine. I went there. So I dug up sand.
How many years were you in the service?
Just 4.
Just 4.
88 to 92. That had a kid and decided not to re-up because I wanted to watch my kid grow up.
There you go.
And didn't need to carry a gun. I'd rather carry a comic book. So, you know, this, and I've always had a Captain America complex, but you know, this always drew me back. I always wanted to live up to this. I always wanted to be a superhero as close as I could be to one. And I always try to live by that credo. And yet, all of my military medals, they're sitting in a box over there. You know,
right.
Like I got a set of my corporal chevrons hanging on the wall behind me, but it's hanging with Special Olympics medals where I was coach for some Special Olympics teams that won some medals. And I'll put them up on my brag wall, but. And my musicians and stuff like that. But, you know, I don't make a big hullabaloo out of the military. I'd rather tell stories about you know, getting in heated arguments of, you know, DC's too vanilla.
Right.
Stupid. Until Sandman came along. Sandman kind of changed the game. Vertigo kind of changed the game a little bit there. But, you know, the game to superheroes, you know, what Superman was too vanilla.
Throughout your whole life, then, comics have always been that go-to zen for you, right? Just no matter what's going on around you, you need your peace, you need your focus. It's right, and it's right. If it's not in a comic book, it's in the history of the comics.
Yep. Yep. And that's kind of funny too. You say go-to zen. I'm on a technicality, I'm the first recognized Zen Buddhist that was in the Marine Corps ever.
Really?
So yeah,
nice.
The first recognized Taoist Zen Buddhist. I was only recognized because of a law change in the end of 1987.
Gotcha.
Where it went from the standard for, you know, the no press, the Christian, the Muslim,
right?
You know, whatever. And they finally opened it up to like 57 different options, and I was a Taoist by nature. And there's some stories there. I got my ass beat by my drill instructors for being a pacifist, but it's like, yeah, I'm a pacifist when I need to be, and I'm not a pacifist when I don't need to be.
Right.
But yeah, you want a good laugh? If I can find a little pen or something to cover it up, I'll show you a set of my dog tags that just makes me laugh. That they say Taoist and Zen Buddhist.
Yeah, I was going to ask because they usually put that on a dog tag, or they used to. They would put like Catholic, Protestant, something like that.
Yep.
Now, what's the reasoning for that, though?
I honestly, I don't know. I think
funeral
on my father
services.
Yeah, I think my father's had like I think he had Protestant on his. I got his over here somewhere.
Here's some of them Special Olympics medals I had hanging there, but I got to be kind of discreet with it because my Social Security number's on here.
Right. We don't need to see that.
There's me. Now we'll flip to the other side.
Look at that.
Dallas. Me. Zen Buddhist.
Zen Buddhist.
Now,
damn.
One goes around your neck, the other one goes in your boot. That way, if you're blown into two pieces, they can identify you from one place. Literally, that's why they had them like that. So, you know, you could be identified that way. But, you know, by a fluke, I was the first recognized Taoist in the Marine Corps. I wasn't there. Most military guys are pacifists by nature. It's the crazy ones that want war. You know, but if you're able to do something, go out and do it. That's the way I've always thought of that. And again, I developed a lot of that from old guys like Jack Kirby, all those old war dogs from World War II that said, you know, I wouldn't want to do this, but the shit hit the fan. I'm going to go do something about this, you know. You know, I'd rather not fight, but if you give me a just cause, I'm going to go fight, and then I'll come back and write a story about it, which is what I want to do. So. Again, I can always tie it back to comics. I can tell you silly ass stories of stuff I've done over the years, but we're here to talk comics. So,
I mean, well, so you were in the Marines for 4 years. Now, did the comics stay with you the whole time you were in the Marine Corps? Like you were still actively reading, you were sharing them maybe with the rest of.
Oh, the bigger collection that I had going in just kind of faded away, got lost in moves and stuff like that. Then I'd pick stuff up, PXs, and then I'd never spent more for a 4-year span, other than when I was in boot camp and artillery school. Of 3.5 years, I never spent more than 3 weeks in one place.
Wow.
Never. Now, I could be gone a week and then back the same place, but I never spent more than 3 weeks in the same spot for 3.5 years. So, but again, I can tell stories about that dumb shit for hours. Most of the time I was drunk or blowing shit up, but, you know. Comic books. Let's get back.
Let's go to comic books then. So we all have these points in times, like you were saying, in your life where you kind of step away because life comes into play. And you said you've had what, 3 different collections.
Yeah.
Based on everything we're seeing right here, when was the starting point for this collection? Because it looks massive, and I've got to think it's been at least, what, 10 years worth, maybe more?
There's a couple that have survived more than like the mid to late 90s, but yeah, like
Yeah.
I'd say I don't have anything in this other than the occasional fluke from like 2000. Like 2000, this started slowly building back up. Then in the last 10 years, it kind of took a big upswing with things, you know, as I settled down and stuff. But
sure,
just kind of roll with it. But
now
this collection, I'm not just going to let drift away and fall through the wayside. This one's kind of, it has to be curated.
Sure, sure. Now this is kind of not related to this, but I noticed on your YouTube picture, it looks like, are you flying in that picture? You have like a little head thing on. It looked like you might have.
Yeah, that's just a helicopter. That's just a puddle jumping helicopter drift.
I just didn't know if you were flying it. That's why I was like, I think he might be a pilot or something. I'm not really sure.
No, that was just a puddle jumper helicopter trip. So, no, not a pilot. Just a gun bunny and nuclear, biological, chemical weapons specialist.
There you go. Well, yeah. Oh, sure.
So, and then I'm surrounded by bookshelves, and here's things right next to you, right next to me in my library. See if that'll come in.
Oh, wow.
Yeah.
Nuclear proliferation fact book. Wow.
U.S. Senate.
All right.
That's just something to my side.
I got out of high school.
Old Marine stories where the author, you know, would have been proud to serve with you, kind of stuff.
Sure,
so, yeah, in my comics, I'm surrounded by a library. Now, the oldest book in my library right now is a lambskin book from 1769. I've got coinage that goes back.
Okay, now we're talking.
3,000 years.
Now we're talking.
So
I haven't dug anything up that old, but I'm you know, I'm thinking about going over to England to do a little hunt. I wouldn't mind finding some nice old staters or something.
Well, it's right over my shoulder. If you want to hang on a second, I'll snatch out a few coins, show you here. That'll be fun.
That'd be just for me. You comic book people turn away. This is for me.
The perks of being a suspect.
Thank you. Yes. Because I was going to ask him, you got all these daggone newspapers from the 1800s and these different, you know, pieces of art and whatnot. You got to have some type of coinage.
Yeah, something's had to come through the cracks, right?
Absolutely. I'm just impressed that those books are still, I mean, especially the Japanese ones. You're talking they predated the war.
Right. Or the 1885 ones?
Well, no, I mean, the Japanese ones alone were like, I think he said 1920s. Well, the war was 1940s. So they were 20 years prior, and they lasted. They didn't get, you know, destroyed because that, you know, when something like that happens, a lot of that stuff gets destroyed. So.
Rubles from every year from the time the Berlin Wall went up until it came down.
Nice.
61 to 90. That's a random collection. Let's see. Little coin album here. Anybody out there a fan of Everclear? The band? Art Elizakis is a friend of mine, and he gave me this as a gift.
Oh, wow.
Augustus Flavius,
Look how thick it is.
like 400 AD.
Look how thick it is.
Right.
That's solid silver. That's got to be solid silver.
Bronze.
Really?
Yeah. A Jerusalem penny. There's a widow's mite.
Yeah.
From basically, if Christ was a real person, he may have had this. Who knows?
But
This is what it's from Jerusalem 2,000 years ago.
what makes it blue?
It's like just a gritty brown. Oops. I'm mirrored here, so.
Yeah, I can see it. It's brown. It's just got some type of blue tanning on it or
Just,
something.
yeah, it's just. Here's a Mesopotamian.
Wow.
Damn.
That's
Yeah.
insane.
I don't have anything that old.
You
I
know,
haven't dug anything that old yet.
back in continental times, we didn't even have American currency. So, like, stuff like an Irish halfpenny
Half
here
penny,
from
sure.
1769.
Yeah,
This
I'm
is
hoping to find one of those.
1769 halfpenny. Yeah, when you talk about rare, one of the rarest coins they have. I got it at a gas station.
Oh, yeah.
Nothing fancy. Modern dime. No die on the back.
No. Oh, you got a bad one.
Yeah, those are stupid rare.
Yeah.
But yeah, I'm not a big war trophy kind of guy, but like there's a lot of World War II coinage from tons of countries,
Right.
ancient stuff. Then I got coins, and I got bills from all over the world.
Oh wow.
And again, World War I, World War II, German World War I coins or bills. Let's talk about some stuff you don't see every day here. Oh, let me find the right page. Any guesses where that's from? North Korea.
Oh, yeah, you definitely won't see that.
So, but yeah, just world currencies. Yeah, just all kind of stuff.
That's cool.
French frags from World War II.
War II.
I've got stacks of POW postcards from World War I and World War II. But again, I don't collect war trophy stuff. So
Sure. Well, that was cool. I appreciate it. I just, that's my thing. That's my other thing,
Right. So yeah,
Comics.
you actually collect quite a few different things.
The only thing left from my Marine, the rest of my uniforms and stuff had to be burned, but I kept my golf goggles and stuffed in old Gunny Harley Army. Full metal jacket. But yeah, I got stuff.
Well,
I got lots of stuff.
I appreciate you showing the coins. I mean, that's my thing. I do metal detecting as my other passion besides comics, and I'm always fascinated to see what comes out of the ground and see what people collect on their own. So I appreciate you showing me that.
Russian wartime currency.
Damn.
Or I should say Russian World War I currency.
Right.
German World War I currency. There's something you won't ever see.
Haven't seen any of that. That's the first time I've ever seen
Right?
those.
Same here.
The Russian recalled money from 91, 92 that never got distributed. Every denomination a ruble.
Wow.
Huh.
So, yeah. And then we got sports. Are you a big sports fan? I have Wayne Gretzky's home address.
I'm a big hockey guy.
Yeah.
I have Wayne Gretzky's home address. So, you want to see Wayne Gretzky's home address without seeing Wayne Gretzky's home address?
Sure.
Give me a second. I got to go get in a safe.
It's hockey, I love it. I've been a hockey fan since I was a kid.
Yeah, anything hockey's all Gary. We might have gone off topic a little bit.
Well, no, this is an interview show, so it's not. This isn't the 1011. This one's just about the person in general. So there's no off topic.
But as soon as you said coins, I was like, I'm sold. Let's do it. Let me see.
Right?
Let me see what you got.
Imagine if you found one of those out with detecting, Jim.
Man, I mean, I found some old stuff, but not that old. I mean, you know, and like I said, all of my, I have yet to find. I've yet to find a King George, any of that British stuff. You know, I found some 1804, but that's American. I'm still trying to hit that 1700s club. So I'll get there. I just got to find the right spot.
Right. Well, that's okay. When you do, I'll look forward to the post. That'll be a fun day.
Oh, hell yeah. I'll definitely be posting it.
I got some Gretzky McFarlane figures up there, but there you go.
Wow.
I gave the rest.
He'll always be the greatest player ever in hockey to me. No one will ever top Gretzky.
Yeah, absolutely.
You got to get kind of creative here and cover the actual address.
Wow.
Yeah. I have Wayne Gretzky's home address. So, other hockey things. I got a Gila floor thing up there, but the other hockey things I have immediately handy. Dominator.
Wow.
He sent me that.
That's a fact, Ross.
One of my favorite players. So, I grabbed so many different things. But yeah, how many people you know Wayne Gretzky's home address? Because I'm a social butterfly.
Right?
That's awesome.
But yeah. And I tend to Santa Claus things out and just give them away. And I got to kind of mellow out with that. But, oh, look, I had to get in the safe. How about a Jack Kirby autograph?
Wow. Now, that's the first time I've seen a Jack Kirby autograph.
Yeah,
And I got another one in the mail, but this is one of the last things he did right before he died.
Wow.
He did a run of these milestones of X-Men and FF1. Those are the last things he signed.
Now, you were talking to me on Instagram about celebrity comic collectors. Now, some of the well-known ones. So can you talk a little bit about your knowledge of them or interactions if you've had any?
Any fans of The Clash?
Oh, yeah.
Yeah. Well, let me go pull this down off the wall.
We're getting them as exercise tonight. Well, it's got to be good if it's coming off the wall.
Yeah, look at it.
I got that London Calling single and the jukebox tab to go with this eventually. Mick Jones, the guitarist from The Clash and Big Audio Dynamite.
Nice.
Big comic book nerd sent me this over. A friend of mine, Steve Polcharis, is acquainted with him, and they sent me this as a how do you do. And they picked this particular issue because that's the exact day, this Friday this came out. That's the day London Calling came out.
Wow.
So they picked that for this.
Wow.
When this single released, it was that date. And they picked that out and shipped it to me.
And it's so weird because that's one of those songs you just always remember hearing.
Oh, yeah. That's
And if you, I mean, I can pull the phone off the thing here and walk you around the library and show you books, hockey pucks, sports autographs.
That's
I'm
awesome.
looking at Terry Bradshaw, Willie Stargell, Vince Carter, Guy Lafleur, Peyton Manning, Marvin Harrison, sports autographs. I'm looking at Hillary Barta, Romeo Tangal original art, Jerry Robinson's autograph, and that's just right here. Then on this wall right here, I'm looking at an autograph from John Lithgow, Danny Kaye. Then there's Michelle Branch, Lifehouse, drumsticks from Eddie Money, The Tubes, and Lifehouse, and that's just that wall right there.
So, Eddie Money.
Is there anything that you don't collect, Kyle?
Dust.
Right.
Dust.
Okay, so
No, there's plenty I don't collect, but there's plenty I do collect too. So.
Now, what about, because they're such a part of history and you're such a history buff, what about stamps?
I have some historical ones, but they're so hard to keep up. You know, I'd never go for the really big ones, so right. I just get token things here and there. But you know, like I said, at any point in time, no matter where I'm sitting, I can lean to the side. Here's two books sitting side by side on one of my bookshelves. The whole collected Hitchhiker's 6th volume.
Nice.
Right next to a first volume of How the Grinch Stole Christmas.
Right on.
So, yeah. Yeah. Pick a.
So, being such a comic collector, how much time do you actually spend reading? Oh wow!
Definitely coming back to America. Not enough. That's the only answer I can give. Not enough. Not enough. Now I've had a problem with my eyes with all the stuff I've been going through with this cancer stuff. My eyes gave me fits for more than a year. So basically I was limited, but everything I've got is a reread. Right. Everything I've got is a reread. Everything I've got is a reread. I've got 10 to 12,000 books behind me, comics behind me. They're all rereads. I'm not a big fan of the brand new stuff either. I've really got to eventually open up to that. But you know,
do you have a favorite artist that you would favor more than anything?
Adams. Just Adams. The you know.
Yeah. Yeah. Well, I mean, I was big George Perez.
Yeah, Adams, Rice, and Perez. I mean, come on, we're old enough to be spoiled. You know, all the guys from that time. Come on, the studio, the entire studio.
Right. That's the problem I have with a lot of today. I don't feel like they put that level of detail and effort into some of the. You know, the covers may be absolutely amazing, and you open the interior and you're like, "What happened?"
Well, and you talk about those artists too, like Perez, like Bernie Wrightson, like Barry Windsor Smith, and they didn't just make a panel; they made a panel filled with details.
That's what I mean.
Or they
don't get that today,
and it was so elaborate that you would have to look at it for half an hour just to see most of it and just realize the detail that they put into it.
And you know, smartasses like John Byrne would put in stuff inside the panel that if you really looked at, you know, you can see things that he's like sending you messages and so forth. Like it might even be a person behind a window holding a book, and that book could be like Playboy. And it was his way of, you know, going, I'm going to have Playboy inside my book, you know, even though they told me I can't do it, I'm going to have it. You know, something like weird like that.
That's like Adams had that like wispy effect behind Dead Man that said, "Hey kids, look, it's a Steranko effect."
Right.
It was just written in the smoke.
Right. So I mean, you know, that man, you just don't see that today. I mean, there's some great stories still today, but the art to me is, I agree, we're spoiled. We were spoiled.
Yeah, and it's for my grandnephew, the new Spider-Man stuff and all that. That's my grandson. My grandson loves Miles Morales. Good for him. Couldn't wait to get
Yeah.
him his first appearance of Miles Morales. Loved having these books. Pretty much zero interest in them whatsoever because, you know, I had a hard enough time relating to Spider-Man as a teenager. There's no way in middle age I'm going to relate to a teenage.
Well, what
super.
made you? Well, you said Wonder Man is your favorite hero. What made you relate to Wonder Man over Spider Man or one of the more
He was just a
fellow heroes?
schlub that got something. He was just a schlub. That was me. I was just a schlub. But he turned out to be powerful, but I was just a slub. I couldn't be picked Captain America, and he wasn't on Captain America's level. But, you know, maybe somebody would have given me some radiation and I would have became Wonder Man, even though all my radiation did was kill a bunch of cancer. But, you know, no superpowers came from it.
Still an important job to get done, right?
Yeah. Yeah. But, yeah, that's what I'm afraid of. I knew I'd just bounce all over the place. We only hit about 16 tangents, and I got 135 more right over my shoulder. So right. I always like having a thing where, like, if somebody will pick a topic, and I'll go, hold on, let me go grab their autograph, or hold on, let me go show you this book, or hold on, show you
all the autographs you have, do you have one that's just your absolute favorite? That's just a real personal thing for you?
Yep. And it's right here on the wall. And it came very recently. It came just a year or two ago. I'll be impressed if anybody even has a clue who this is.
Not me.
Late 80s, early 90s, like James Taylor type singer-songwriter. Really good.
I know who it is. I can't think of his name right now. Oh my gosh.
Jude Cole. But, like, I used to work with Lifehouse, and he was Lifehouse's manager, but I loved him as an entertainer before then. But Ironworks Records, run by Kiefer Sutherland, this is his business partner.
Oh, okay.
So when I started my cancer treatments, I've always wanted to, like when I worked at Lifehouse, the running joke was, Jude, even though he's from Illinois, he lives out in California. He's not a touring musician anymore, and I've never seen him come through Indianapolis. And I always figured I'd just road trip one day. And when I started going through all my shit with cancer, I just emailed him. I'm like, or sent him a message on Messenger, and I'm like, hey, I'm a Floyd middle-aged Make-A-Wish kid. We gotta meet. We gotta figure out something. I gotta see you in concert or something. I said, this is my Make-A-Wish, you know. Yeah. I want to at least get your autograph. You know, where can I send a View from Third album? And he said, just give me your address. And he pulled one out of his archives and autographed it for me and sent me notes and stuff. And
wow, what a great gesture!
But he's like, you know, don't you send me nothing. Just give me your address. And that is Stax came right to me. So this is my favorite singer-songwriter ever. But,
wow, that's amazing.
But I'm a social butterfly, and if it ain't, you know, like now I've got the perfect excuse. I can say, hey, I got cancer, take pity on me, give me something. But it gives me an excuse to stop dragging my feet. You know, I don't say give me, I say, what can I do to get this? Yeah. But I spent years working with Special Olympics, you know, fundraising and stuff like that. You know, I've got a million stories with that stuff where I just put all those cards, like,
well, and back in the day too, he kind of had that George Michael look to him.
Yeah. Nice. I sent a package up to the Detroit Pistons in the 90s. And Joe Dumars is president of basketball operations. I sent a package up there that said, you know, hey, I'm trying to gather some stuff for Special Olympics charity. You know, you don't even have to send it to me. You send it on to this address or whatever, or you know, send it back to me. All these that for Special Olympics is going to charity. And I had all my contact information in there because I had a regular 9-to-5 job, and I'm sitting in my office job. My phone rings and I pick it up. You know, I had my extension on it. And I answer, and a lady says, "Is this Kyle Andrews?" I said, "Yeah." And she says, "This is Bridget from Joe Dumars' secretary. Hold on a minute, he wants to talk to you." And he's like, you know, "Hey, why don't you send me some cards so I can autograph you some, because I'm sending all this to that. And you didn't even ask for anything." So, you know, I sent him up a stack of cards and I said, "All right, I got friends here, here, and here that loved you as a player. Would you mind signing?" He's like, "Send as many as you like. I'll send it right back." So, but he called me at my office to say, "Hey, thanks for doing what you're doing. Keep up the good work." You know,
That's awesome.
he sent me stuff.
That's
I'm
class
that
act.
social butterfly. So,
Yeah, but Joe Dumars, that's good of him. That's good of him.
Right. Just
and I tend to bring that out in people because I can go, "Hey, you know, I'm a combat Marine, you know, all right, now there's an open door. Hey, I'm a pacifist, there's an open door.
Right.
You know, hey, I'm a comic book nerd, there's an open door. Hey, I study a little bit of this, there's an open door. Hey, I work with rock and roll stars, there's an open door." The social butterfly stuck at home from illness. It kind of makes me goofy, but again, I am so up on a tangent. Look, Jack Kirby.
That's right. That's what these shows are all about, Kyle. Our tangents. I mean,
It's,
it's the personal stories that attach people to these episodes, right? It's not
Right.
Hey, well, maze.
if we're just showing stuff and we don't have any personal connection to it, it's that much less interesting. But
right.
when it's something that means something to the person showing it, it gives you attachment.
Right.
It's like that thing right over my shoulder right there that keeps coming in and out of focus because I don't know why this is starting to do that. But I got this Eddie Grant autograph piece out of a book my daughter got me. And then there's a couple Iron Man books right there with it. But my grandson, my 8-year-old grandson at the time, we took a bunch of Iron Man stickers and just put them on poster board and stuff. And that's what's most prominent in my library is like an 8-year-old's artwork.
Hey,
With an Eddie Grant, because that's cool to me. That's
Right.
cool stuff. So,
there you go.
but yeah, I could go on for days about so much of this stuff. Pick a box and hey, pick a topic, pick a year. I'm gonna have something that has something to do with it. So
Right.
you know, I don't know a lot. I know a little bit about a lot, but I don't know a lot about anything.
And that's the cool thing about you being a historian is you got a little bit of knowledge from all these different eras. But
Yeah.
we're going on the hour and a half mark, so we'll start wrapping it up. But I did have a final question from me that I was curious about because you brought up your nephew and giving him books, right?
Yeah.
So, what's the one thing, whether it has to do with comic books or not, that you would like to pass down or have him learn from you about life and collecting?
That whole story I did with that. You know, find your book. You know,
Right.
I gave him 1,000 books. I'm like, you can trade those 1,000 books for one book. Whatever you want to do. It's your collection. It's going to be fluid. Find what you want. Don't hold on to anything just because, especially if it's a gift. Find what you want. If you want Spider-Man, if you want an Amazing Fantasy 15, sell a car, sell all the comics I got you, get your at 15, and then build your collection from there. Build your collection the way you want. This is my collection the way I want it. I'm going to pass on what knowledge I can. But, you know, I'm not a big Spider-Man fan, but I cannot keep enough Spider-Man comic books so I can pass it on to the kids that do love them. You know,
Right.
there's Spider-Man. What do I know about? Okay, it's good to know a little bit about Spider-Man, but, you know, just as easy to let them go. But find your book. Find your story. Find what talks to you, you know. Like I said, I gave him 1,000 books. I said it wouldn't hurt my feelings at all if you turn around, sold, and bought a car. But I knew he wouldn't. But I'm like, you know, don't just grip your fingers in and go, well, this is a gift and I don't want to let it go. It's like, no, do what you want. But he's like, well, I'm not letting go of that Daredevil #3 and I'm not letting go. You know? It's like, yeah, okay, you know, whatever. It's the cornerstone to what you want to build. But he had his favorite. I said, give me a list of 10 or 12 of your favorite characters and I'm going to just stock it up with those. you know, you got some newer Batman. Here's Batman from the 2020s, 2010s, 2000s, 90s, 80s, 70s, 60s. I don't think I got in the 50s with a Batman.
Now, are there any stories that you two have connected over that you've both read?
It's so different of an experience. He either loves hearing me talk about, like, when I have my moment with this, and then he can talk to me about how he had his Miles Morales moment.
Sure.
We don't have to be talking about how we enjoyed the same story.
Right.
We can talk about different stories that somebody
Right.
just to react and bond with. And that's what I want to do with my grandson, but he's 10, so he's still at that. And maybe, you know, sure, superhero cool. By the time he's 16, if he's not interested, hey, so what? Whatever, you know. When I'm gone, whatever can happen with this stuff. I always tell my kids, don't keep my crap because it's my crap.
Right.
Go get something you like. You know, don't buy meth, buy a car, pay for a house, do whatever you want. You know, it's just stuff. But you know, find what makes you happy. I can't make my kids appreciate these things. You know, anybody that likes the Golden Censor and, you know, 1880s books, I've got shelves of these things. Can't buy my kids interest in these things.
What is it?
Just Stories of Hopes and Future from 1883.
All right. Wow. Art. Just look at the art in there too.
Gold tipped, just beautiful stuff. But you know, kids won't care. You know, these may not bring them $3 in the future. Somebody just be like, "Ah, that's crap." I want to find somebody, like when somebody comes over and they say, "Wow, those are some amazing books, man. That'd be interesting." I would just be like, "Okay, here." Here, you know, I don't hand out $1,000 things, but you know, if I come across these here, you know, you can't have my 1769 book from the French Royal Library, but you can have this.
Jesus. Oh my God.
Being Santa Claus. That's two complexes I have. I have a Santa Claus complex and a Captain America complex. It never goes away.
So what's your Captain America complex is exactly what? Just the putting the good out there and the positivity?
Put the positivity out there, and then I'm one of them dumbasses where I hear gunshots and I go towards them.
Mm.
That's, you know, I hear trouble, I go towards it. I put myself between my family or anybody who could get hurt. I put myself between it and then go towards the trouble. And it's ridiculous because I'm falling apart. And like, you know, we had to go to the courthouse one day because one of the kids got a stupid ticket. And we're in there and this guy breaks out in a ruckus. And here I am walking around with a broken neck. And I turn and I'm 10 steps towards him, getting there faster than the bailiffs are before I realize I even did it. And it's like, what am I doing? I got a broken neck. How stupid is this? But I can't take that out of me. It's
part of your character.
Right.
You know, it's just been ingrained in me. You know, part of it is military, part of it's who I was, part of it was me trying to be Captain America when I was a kid. And it never went away. And it's like, you know, it's stupid as hell now. I'm a broke down old man. I shouldn't be walking towards trouble, but I guarantee you, if bullets are flying, they're going to hit me well before they hit anybody behind me.
Right.
So, you know, I'm just kind of built that way. And I blame it, like I wrote for Fanzine, mostly because of Stan Lee and the examples I had set before me. You know, these guys taught me, you know, go towards trouble.
Right.
Right on. Well, you definitely have an eclectic collection of things. I'm super impressed with a lot of those books, especially the early 1900s. That was quite an education. I'd never heard of the brownies, and I appreciate you letting us see it.
Scratching the surface. Literally scratching the surface. This could go on for 6 to 8 hours, and I'd still be scratching the surface.
Wow.
So...
Well, that's
and I was afraid I'd do this. It's just, it's just dropped all around me. You know, here's all that stuff. You know, but
Well, I mean, I think that's part of the impressive part too. Like we've talked for an hour and a half, and you had all this stuff within arm's reach of you, basically, from all these different types of collections, whether it's sports autographs, or old novels, or newspaper strips, or comics, or music. You had it all within arm's reach, and all these different cross sections of life. Experiences that you've had. It's just kind of cool.
Yeah, it's my library. I don't want to call it a man cave, but it's just my library. And that's what I want to pass on to people is the appreciation. They don't have to keep my stuff, just have the appreciation for whatever. I don't care if it's Pokemon. I think Pokemon's the dumbest thing in the world. But I bought my grandson, you know, first generation Japanese Pokemon cards. It's like, you like it? Go for it, buddy. I'm behind you 1,000%. You know, because when I grew up, everybody just called me an idiot. My dad and stepdad just be like, "Oh, comics are stupid and cards are just putting your spokes of your bike or whatever." And you know,
it didn't allow you to be you
growing up. So
yeah,
you know, but
I think that's something our generation kind of learned is you don't put that on your kids. Like I always told my, you know, like we had our kid, and everyone's like, "How come you didn't name him after you?" I'm like, "Cause I don't want him to be me. I want him to be him."
right.
Yeah.
I don't, you know, like it's like forcing your kid into the family business. What if that's not their dream? Why do you want to force them into that?
Yeah.
You gotta let them be them. You gotta
Right.
let them find their own way, their own path. And if it happens to coincide with some of the stuff that you guys share, great. If it doesn't, it's okay. They have their own things they can appreciate. You just need to let them do that. Don't hold them back.
Absolutely.
Yep. I agree with that 100%. So
Right,
yeah,
well,
if you ever bored again, and God forbid you ever want me to do a 10-1-1, it might be a 21-12-12. But
well, we'll get you on there, Kyle.
One thing I can forewarn you of, speculation. I can't stand the thought of speculation. You know,
that's just a little aspect of fun, Kyle, for the audience. That's all.
But if we talk speculation, I would go. Where to go? Here, you want speculation? There you go.
Right, St. Nicholas.
St. Nicholas magazine. You know, old Brownie. You know, that's historically significant. You know, you can still get that cheaper than a lot of things, and it predates all the major comic companies by 50 years or more. So.
You could show up the Avengers #9 there. That's actually pure spec right there, because I've heard rumors of they're gonna make a show on it.
They are. They're making a series with him. I mean, they had Nathan Fillion in the posters of the Guardians of the Galaxy, but
well, I don't know if he's gonna do it, but you never know.
It's weird, like that Marvel Comics Presents he was in.
Yeah.
Where it's his like the first Wonder Man one-shot story.
Sure.
Like I bought that 2 months ago for $10. I was like, oh, this looks fun. And now, like last time I was in the comic shop, it was like $110. I'm like, well, I guess I picked that up at the right time. And it wasn't even that great a story. I'm like,
right.
Okay.
Yeah. Is that the one where he's like holding up the robot or something like that? Or,
yeah. Marvel Premiere 55.
Yes, that's it.
That's what I said. You just randomly spout something off. Ask me a stupid comic thing about a cover appearance in 1972. 99% chance I'm going to know it.
Man.
Thank you, Janet. Thank you for joining us tonight. I don't see new people in the audience. It's awesome.
That's my mom, by the way.
Oh,
nice.
That's my mom. I knew my mom would chime in there. So that was my mom.
Well, very nice to have your mom in the audience. That's awesome. So let's, Jim, what have you got coming up on for you, bud?
I'm actually I don't really have a whole lot coming on. I have some packages coming in. I'm waiting to come on, and I'll actually do an unboxing or two on that. I'm going down to Richmond this weekend to see my mom, who turned 85. So while I'm down there, I might shoot a little footage of this LCS that's down there, and because they have some pretty good stuff in there, and maybe post that up as well. Maybe if I can pick up anything that I find that I think is interesting.
Nice. And coming up on my channel on Saturday night, on the Saturday edition of the 1011, we have Nick's Kix and Comix on. Remy Q will be the co-host that night. Then on Tuesday on the 1011, we have Eddie from the Batcave back, fresh from his appearance on this very show last week.
Right.
And then next week on In the Hot Seat with the Usual Suspects, we have Mars, fresh from her appearance on the 1011. So a lot of fun content coming up, a lot of great guests. And Kyle, what's coming up for you, sir?
Yeah, just waiting for somebody to go, hey, give me a longer video of that stuff.
Right.
So, I'm just trying to shoot lives. I just figured, why not shoot lives? When life doesn't get in the way, I shoot a video. So,
Right. Well, I think for a lot of us, and, Jim and I have talked about this, not just amongst ourselves, but with other people, is once COVID hit and we found YouTube, we found a whole new world that we didn't know existed, and it's become our go-to place to relax. Like this is relaxing because, like you were saying, I do 3 live shows a week now. Plus, I jump on a 4th live show on Wednesday when I do the comic book on Chris the Comic Vet's channel, and that's balancing everything else because I work too much like everybody else does. But you got to find those moments in life where you can enjoy yourself and relax.
Absolutely.
But we can have a good roundabout another night. We'll keep this at an hour and 36, so it's consumable for the people who are watching it on a rewind. I want to thank everyone in the audience who came out to support the show and to support Kyle's appearance tonight. And I also want to thank you, Kyle. I always appreciate when anyone wants to come on my channel. I'm just some old nobody, and I'm always floored when somebody wants to come on my shows and spend a little bit of time with us. Thank you for the stories. Thank you for the history of what you collect, and just thank you for taking us through some of your life experiences through what you have in your collection. It was a great honor to get to talk to you, sit down with you, and get to know you a little bit better. This was actually the first time we got to speak, and thoroughly enjoyed it, sir.
Yeah, very
thanks
much
for
so. Thank
having
you.
me on. I'm sorry I ramble on so much, but it'll just go.
No
I'm a
reason
chatty Cathy
to
dog with a broken
apologize.
string, so.
It's all
But
good.
I love doing this, so I could do this just for days on end. That's why I said I'd love to do the 1011 and be like, hey, I already told this story and this story, so why don't I pull out this, and this? So, and if you thought I blew your mind today, wait till I open the next box. Wait till I'm on somebody else's live. Wait till this happens. That's, how many times are you ever going to see that?
Right?
Ever.
Well, and that's the cool thing about doing these lives. I see things that I never even knew existed a lot of times.
Right.
And that's great fun.
And that shouldn't even exist. And eventually I'm going to trade that off. And more than likely that's going to go away in a cash trade thing. And I'll get an old issue of X-Men and a stack of cash or whatever. But I had my time with it. If somebody appreciates it more, bigger DC fan, bigger Bible fan, whatever, it went through my hands. It went to a better collector. We get even enough trade for whatever. Good enough. Thank you very much. Move on to the next thing.
Right. And the video evidence of you owning it's always there.
There you go.
and I still haven't set over the top of it. I mean, I don't know how long the video would be where if I flip the individual pages, compared them to the actual pages in the book and say, this is the layout to that, and this is what they used there, and this is where they changed it. Here's a note from Carmine Infantino where it would have said this, but now it says that. It'd take me hours to do that.
Right.
So, you could do a section. You could do a section each page and make a video, and it could be like a 10-minute video to just talk about quick bits about here. Look on this panel, it was this, and they actually changed it before it. You know what I mean? Something like that.
You just met me tonight. Do you think I could just sit and talk for only 10 minutes?
Well, okay, 20.
Do you think I could only talk for 20 minutes? I can't do it. I can't do it. I shoot 10-minute videos. It's got to be, here's an opening, there's a few comics. I need to shut up now and go. I get going my lives. My first one was 45 minutes because I was in too much pain to keep going. Then it was 115. Now it's hour and a half. I'm 2 hour cover slingers. I can just go and go and go and go and still be like, damn, I didn't show this, 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 and this. I'm not even holding back for content. There's just too much. And 6 months from now, it ain't gonna matter because I'm gonna have 6 months of different content from what I trade out and do with whatever. And hey, there's this. And
it's all right. Keep it fresh.
Keep it fresh. There you go.
Like I said, I got maybe 15 videos on my channel, but if you go through it, you see a snippet of all of it. Here's the autographs. Here's this. Here's some music memorabilia. Here's what I did with that. You know, I was on Taylor Winder's channel, and the guy's like, he's not telling backstories. Well, I hijacked his show for an hour. If I told backstories, it'd be a 6-hour show. It's pretty hard to do that. You can't do that. So it's like this. I'm trying to say goodbye. And, you know, just the word of mouth just keeps coming out. So, but appreciate it. I appreciate coming on here. I appreciate you hanging out. How big was the audience? I can't turn this thing sideways to see. How big?
Live in the chat at one point, we had 18 people.
Hey, there you go.
Yeah, well, we were up against a couple other live shows tonight too. So there was a couple contest giveaways. So there's people out at other shows trying to win free stuff.
Right.
And hey, I just cleared 100 subscribers. I think I got 115 subscribers now. I need to have a lot more than that, but I want to subscribe to people back too. And I'm thinking, yeah, I'd like to give stuff away, but then people will be thinking, well, if he's giving stuff away, it's going to be a $500 thing. Well, no, but you know, if I have a grand prize, you know, but I don't know.
Well, it's tough. And you don't always, to promote your channel, you don't always want to go down the giveaway route. Giveaways are fun and they're nice to do, but you want to build numbers of people that are sticking around. And giveaways sometimes only get the prize lizards where they're subscribed while there's a giveaway going and then they're gone.
Right.
I want people to come on my channel and go, you're a flipping idiot. Good. Why? What I do? What was it? Okay, if I'm an idiot, am I an idiot because of this? Would you disagree with that? You know, let's start a dialogue. Sure. Why am I an idiot? You know, or that's cool. The thing I get most is, can I be in your will? So, you know, like, yeah, I'd like to do that.
All right.
Wow. All right, guys. On that note, we'll end it here. I want to say thank you to everyone who came tonight. Thank you again, Kyle. Thank you again, Jim. I had a great time, guys. This was so much fun. And we're going to do a quick word from our sponsor and then the outro. And until next time, guys, keep it casual. Attention all, use channel sponsor Rogue Trader at theroguetraderutah.com and my code Keep It Casual for 10% off your comic cleaning and pressing needs. Remember, when submitting your books to be graded, use a trusted professional.